100, Season 3, Episode 6, Bitter Harvest. This was a crazy freaking episode. I think they did some really interesting stuff in this one that really has me scared. Mostly the Raven and Lexa stuff. That's like the biggest issues that I have. Not like bad issues, but I'm just freaking out. I really do believe Lex is going to get killed before this season is over because, you know, in this episode they kind of introduced the idea that kind of her right-hand man, I totally forgot his name. I feel like they may have said it before, but I feel like this was the first time anyone actually said that guy's name. So it kind of surprised me when Clark was talking to him and she said his name. I'm like, I don't know if they've said his name ever before, but they probably did. I'm really bad with like remembering people's names, so I may have missed that before for sure. But you know, they kind of introduced the idea that he's actually getting fed up because it seemed like, you know, he had his ideas for what he felt should have happened, but he was always by Lex's side. Like, even when the coup stuff was happening, he stood by her, and, you know, the whole vote of no confidence thing didn't really bother him. It was like, you know, he's sticking with her, and he's like, get these traitors out of here. So it was kind of cool to see him shift, and it's Clark that's the issue. It's like, you know, your feelings for, you know, this girl are what's kind of messing you up because of the whole, you know, blood no longer needs blood thing. That was, I guess that was just a little too far for him, so he's pretty pissed off. And oddly enough, we find out at the end they had like two crazy reveals all at one time, or I guess kind of three. But we find out that Murphy is actually in the Capitol right now, which I thought was really crazy. He's the one beating on him, so he knew he was there for a long time. And then we also find out at the end of this episode that the Polis thing that they mentioned early on was actually the 13th station, Polaris, which crashed on Earth a very long time ago, because Jaha said he didn't even know how it happened or really when it happened. So it was even, you know, before he was born. So that was quite a while ago, and so they call it Polis because, you know, some letters are missing. But I thought that was a great way to end the episode. It was like a couple of little things put together because, you know, he was angry. It was clear that the guy was angry at Clark, but he didn't do anything crazy. But we get to see him act out how angry he really is on Murphy at the end, which, you know, in itself, like I said, was a bit of a reveal because it's just like, oh, here's Murphy, and he's actually like right under, you know, where Clark is, and he's just getting beat in this episode. And then, of course, the Polaris thing at the end as well. So, a cool little combination of moments shown at the very end, but I like the fact that they kind of introduced the idea of him actually having issues with Lexa because, like I said, he was always on her side, despite what he thought she should do or how she should probably ignore Clark or, you know, stuff like that. He really showed how angry he was in this episode. So I like that because it might end up meaning that he is going to be the one to kill Lexa. If she dies, I easily could be wrong, but ever since I read that comment about how she's on another show, how she's on Fear the Walking Dead, it's kind of been in my head, and now all this other stuff is happening. Like, the coup thing got dealt with, and I was like, okay, that was kind of an issue, but it got dealt with. And then the blood no longer, you know, needs blood. That was, like, the whole thing, because I'm like, that's just a huge deal that you know, like, the leaders of the different clans, that's one thing. That's, like, those individuals that represent these clans, but the blood must have blood is the way of all grounders. That's every person, and that's going to be a big deal, and I'm sure it is. Like, I feel like in this episode we still really haven't seen the repercussions of her making that decision where they can go into sort of a new era and they no longer have to, you know, kill people that hurt someone that, you know, hurt, or they no longer have to kill people that killed one of their own. And I just really feel like, as much as Clark is kind of like us, as, you know, as normal humans, where you wouldn't want to kill someone, or you wouldn't want to, in her case, you would have also been a bit of a hypocrite, but, you know, you wouldn't want to really just kill someone for revenge. And then you have, you know, the Grounders who are very different, blood must have blood. That's a huge contrast, and that's a huge issue, and Clark, you know, kind of flipped the script at the end, and it's like, nope, and everyone's like, and there's gasping and stuff, and she's like, I'm not going to kill this guy just because he killed, you know, some other people. He killed my people and some of your own people and stuff. And I personally, I would have done what she did, not because it's bad, but honestly, And she kind of does it, but she doesn't say that's her reason. But I guess I'm just horrible for thinking this way. But I would have let him live so that he could be abandoned and have literally no one and just have to survive on his own. Because I think that would have been way worse. And clearly, it was way worse to him because he was super mad when she was like, "I'm not gonna kill you. I'm gonna let you walk off and live with the burden of everyone that you knew is dead, and you're the last person of your kind." And I personally felt that was a better way to do it anyway, honestly, just for the mental aspect of it. But it still kind of, it definitely still breaks the idea of blood must have blood. So she's causing a huge rift, and I do believe that Lex is going to be taken out. She gave a pretty good speech where she talks to everyone like Clark is leading us or showing us that we can go, into an era where we don't have to kill other people, and it's violence doesn't need to be solved by more violence. And I'm like, that's a good speech, and it's really cool, and I personally feel that way because I live in the normal world, but they don't. And she's just one person as the leader of all leaders. She's the one person kind of changing basically the history of their people, and she's trying to make history in a good way. But that tends not to really matter sometimes. The ground is, it's just like, who gives an F? We do what we do, and they like some things they just don't like to change. So I'm really worried. I'm really freaked out that Lex is going to be dying sometime this season. I really think it's going to happen with everything they're doing. Hopefully she doesn't, because I really do like Lex as a character. I think this has probably been her greatest season so far because she's so impacted by what's happening with Clark and everything that did happen with the Mountain Men, and how we really see a full transition this season. Because last season it seemed like we had a good transition for her character, and then it was like, nope, screw you guys, and she got all her people out, and they took off, and it kind of regressed her back to when we were first introduced to her. But I think this season is like the true change that they were kind of teasing us with and kind of building up in the last season. And I think they've done a good job with that because it didn't take forever. It wasn't like she instantly went back to the very beginning once the season started up. She was clearly changed based on how she wanted to find Clark and everything like that and kind of make things right with her. But it was really good. I was like, it freaked me out, but it was still really good to see her make this change. But I'm super worried for her. I don't think she's going to survive this season, which is really unfortunate. But I just don't think it's going to happen. And then we have Jaha with, I don't know how many people he gave chips in this episode, but he gave quite a few people. They were just in line, and he's just like, here's a chip in your mouth, here's a chip in your mouth. I don't know why everyone was just, he was just putting it in their mouths. Unless I'm remembering that wrong, he probably did hand it to him, and I'm just thinking he put it straight in their mouth. But I don't know how many people that was, but that was quite a few people. Raven, of course, is kind of like the catalyst for Abby to be like, something is weird. And once again, I'm really worried about that. I don't know what's going on. We find out actually that Allie has a part 2 or an upgrade, a version 2 for her AI. So that can't be good. And we find out that her creator actually did survive, or, I guess they were building the arcs ahead of time anyway because they figured something would happen to the Earth. So her creator actually fled to space. So I thought that was interesting. It kind of gave a bit of a timeline as to the creation of the arc. So I thought that was actually kind of cool, or at least the separate stations. But that was actually pretty interesting. So Raven is hooking her up into the AI and everything, and she's looking for her version 2. Fortunately, she doesn't find it, but obviously that's a big deal, her looking for her upgrade. And I'm scared as to what that could be, because who knows what's going on with those missiles. There could be more missiles, and they actually showed inside of the backpack, which I don't think they made a focus of showing before, or I probably just missed it, but it looked like there was a mini nuke in there, and it kind of made me think of the video game Fallout, because they have a weapon that's basically just, you shoot mini versions of nukes, and that's what it looked like. It had the radioactive symbol on it and everything, and I'm like, I never noticed that before, and that kind of says a lot, because I thought it was really just a crazy AI program in the backpack, and it was like, no, it's being charged by like a small nuclear rod or something like that, and I thought that was pretty crazy. But I don't know how long it's going to take, but I'm pretty sure she's going to get that upgrade, because I feel like what may or may not happen, because of the way that she is as a character where no one can see Allie except for people that take the chips, I think what's going to happen is she's going to get that upgrade, and she may or may not become visible to everyone, which I would assume would have to, there would have to be like projectors to do that. But she's going to turn a lot of people into villains, and we might see, um, you know, Sky Crew and the Ground just kind of team up again once they deal with the whole weird Pike Bellamy stuff that's going on. And I don't know what's going on with that, but I don't know. I'm really freaked out about it. I thought it was cool that they had that little reveal because I thought the Polaris thing was just like, okay, well, they just named where they went. I thought, it's just a little bit of world building. And it's like, no, it's called that because the Polaris station was shot out of space and, the letters kind of burned off, I guess, or just got scratched off. And so that's why they call it Polis. But I'm really worried. That's not going to be a good thing. I'm really excited to see what happens with Abby because she's the one who's really taking care of that. Kane was trying to get Pike to recognize something weird was happening. He's like, nope, that's Abby's thing. I'm not here to be liked. I'm here to get the job done. And I thought Kane had a great line. He's like, well, keep up the good work. But, Abby stops Jasper in this episode, which was really good. And I just don't know what to expect. I mean, she's being watched. We find out that her assistant, he actually took one of the chips as well, so he's been convinced. So now he's going to be keeping an eye on them. So that was a messed up little reveal because I don't know that guy's name. I honestly can't remember it because he's obviously one of the recurring characters, but he's one of the side characters, so I never remember his name. But I liked him as a character. He was always the guy like there to help Abby. They only have like 2 medics, so I always recognize him. And it's like that kind of sucks because they were always like just this weird little team because they're the only medics, in the whole camp. So it's like that kind of sucks, and it kind of puts her in this weird solitary position, as far as doing her job and stuff. So she's gonna be spied on, and she'll of course be relaying information to him like something's really weird. And she did kind of kick him out a little in this episode, so it might be okay because when Kane came to talk to her, she was like, "Hey, go check on the patients and stuff." So he might not get too much information as far as what she does or doesn't know or at least have planned for. I don't even know. I mean, because she, of course, doesn't know about Allie, so I guess Jaha is kind of her target. But hopefully he doesn't get too much information as to what she has planned. But I'm really freaked out about that because it's very worrisome. I mean, this is, they even say it in this episode, which I thought was actually kind of cool. But this is the AI that destroyed the world. And that means a lot. And it's almost like she's trying to do it all over again because she just wants people to take the chips and possibly just kill them all off and have everyone only in the city of light. Like, because it kind of doesn't make any sense because they haven't given us any info as to what she truly wants or why she's, like, controlling people that way. I don't know if it's going to come out to be, the typical AI thing, which I think I mentioned that before, where it was like her directive is save humans, but humans are the problem, so she kills all humans. That could still end up being the result of why she's doing the things that she's doing, but they haven't really given any true explanation. We had that little video where we find out she was the one that set off the nukes, and then that's pretty much it. That's all we have. She's bad. People like instantly change, and we get kind of a scientific definition as far as dopamines and this and that, and how it cuts off certain functions within the body as far as pain receptors. So I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a deadly drug because if it cuts off all pain, then you kind of have people that you can't physically attack because if you don't feel pain during fights, you can push your body to limits that would normally stop you because like, oh, it hurts to punch this wall or try to punch through a door or something. But when you have no pain receptors, you will just keep going even if you have broken bones. So if it becomes like an internal war, it could get pretty deadly for people because everyone who's taking the chips will literally feel zero pain. They haven't mentioned if it's just that, but I would assume it's no pain whatsoever. And they mentioned even emotionally, there's no pain because of course they have the scene where Jasper talks to her. It was like, I may or may not have dropped Finn's ashes, and she was just like, whatever. So very worrisome. I don't know what to think. I can't guess what's gonna happen because it's so expansive, the ways that could go, and all of them seem pretty bad because it's an evil AI, and those, based on the movies I'm thinking of, that just always works for the AI, at least for a long time, and a lot of people end up dying. And so far, only one person has died, and that was the guy in the beginning. So And I guess technically, the guy before that, when Murphy and the girl were trying to steal the backpack the first time. But that has me really worried. We have, of course, Pike and Bellamy finding out that Kane, or realizing that Kane is giving information to Octavia, who was fortunately able to warn them, but unfortunately, despite the fact that she saved that young boy, it was like, okay, well, you kind of warned us, but we're gonna fight back. And so we get introduced to like the crazy poison stuff, which I don't think has ever shown up before, but that was really cool. And then they utilize it as poison smoke, which was kind of sweet. And during that scene, they really scared me because I was like, they better not kill Montiel, because I was freaked out when he ran back in the smoke. I was like, he better not die, because I like all the main characters, but Monty's the guy who's, well, Jasper's not as funny anymore, and neither is Monty because, his best friend's, all messed up. But I always like both of them, and I feel like Monty still hasn't really had such a great, forefront type of moment in the seasons. He had more, of course, last season, but Jasper still had way more than him because of the whole relationship stuff. But I was like, he better not die in that smoke. So I was really happy to see that he made it. They do kill Monroe, which she wasn't really that important of a character. And if I remember right, she's actually the girl that they saved in the last season who was like hanging off the cliff. I believe that was her, unless that was a guy they saved and she was just there trying to help them. But I'm pretty sure she was involved in that somehow. But I don't know if she was the one that they actually saved. But I don't know why I remember that. I can't even remember people's names, but I'm pretty sure she was involved in that. But it was kind of interesting, and so that leaves Bellamy and Pike to know that Kane is the one doing it. Fortunately, in a weird way, it was fortunate that Pike is like, I need evidence, which I think is crazy because he's the guy who's like, screw, they're not here to protect us, even though they are. Let's kill all of them. But he's like, I need evidence. But I guess it's because, it's his people, so he's not going to go all crazy and just instantly attack. But it's gonna get real bad. Like, things are just bad. I mean, I don't know what to expect with the whole Murphy thing. He's just getting beaten. So it's like, I don't really know what to think about that. But they have this infinity symbol, which means that the AI is still there. Whatever, I'm assuming it's on the backpack, or, there's another backpack maybe, or just another something. But the symbol was there. So I'm excited for the stuff that they introduce. I'm really worried about Lexa. Very worried about the whole Allie thing and her getting stronger. More people taking the chips is not a good thing. Of course, Abby's being spied on now. That's not good. Kane's going to be spied on now because they know he gave the info to Octavia. I'm trying to remember. I think Octavia, of course, can't go back now because of the fact that she warned them. So it's like they know that she knew and she snuck out to tell them. So she can't really go back to Arcadia unless she wants to get thrown in prison as well. And of course, this episode I think was like the final kick for her not to really care about Bellamy anymore. And I know that that's a big issue. I know that's been a really crappy thing that people have kind of hated this season, is the whole Bellamy kind of turning on the grounders type of thing. But I think it'll work its way out. I think it'll be fine. I don't know if they're going to end up killing Pike or how that's going to end up getting solved, but I don't think we have to worry too much. I would assume it'll be solved before the end of the season. Bellamy will realize that he's just on the wrong side and he's being absolutely insane, which he is being like the worst person because he wasn't even on, he wasn't on Farm Station. He shouldn't be in the season 1 mentality anymore. But after the explosion, I understand why he went back. It's good reasoning, but it doesn't mean it's a good enough reason. So I'm sure it'll all be worked out. Monty, I know the reason why he went in this episode is basically because he's kind of with his mom. And I think that's interesting. He's kind of thrown into this weird situation where he knows he's kind of doing, on the wrong side. But I feel like he's just like, I got my mom back. I have to stick with her, kind of no matter what, because it's literally the only family, only technical family that he has left. So I think it's kind of crazy the weird position that he's in right now because he's on the same side of things where it's like he doesn't want to just attack everyone. And they mentioned that in this episode where he's like, there's a city here. We can't just like wipe all these people out. But he does go through with stuff, and I really do feel like it's because he's with his mother, and it's family, and as crazy as it is, he just got her back, so it's even crazier. So it's not like they've already been together for a long time, so they can have an argument and not be together. It's like he just got her back, so I feel like that's why he's kind of driven to be with her no matter what the situation is because he wants to save his mother and also other people. I mean, he ran back into the smoke, so obviously he cares about other people as well. But this was definitely a fun episode. It was a scary one just because I only keep thinking about the Lexa thing, and I don't think she's going to make it. It freaks me out every time something else happens. I'm like, I don't think she's going to survive, and it worries me. But I'm looking forward to what we get. Definitely enjoyed the fact that there's going to be an upgrade. Once again, scary, but an upgrade to the evil AI in the show. It connects to Murphy. There's going to be an upgrade because I'm sure for whatever reason the tech somehow survived all this time and they will get an upgrade, even though that kind of makes no sense. I'm sure that'll be the case, but I'm looking forward to what we get. Definitely want to know what you guys thought about this episode, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And I already asked Alexa thing if you guys think she'll live or die, but since we got the whole AI stuff and the upgrade, what do you guys think is going to happen once they upgrade the evil AI that's already seemingly insanely powerful because it instantly turns people into like weird zombies, which reminds me of a great moment when Jaha forgot what his son's name was. That was probably the best moment they've had where it shows the effects of the AI. That was my favorite moment for sure. I almost forgot because it was such a I shouldn't say minor, but sometimes I forget some of the important things when they kind of go past. But that was a huge, huge deal. So they showed some interesting stuff for this episode. I definitely want to know what you guys think is going to happen once they do this really weird upgrade. I can't, unless there are more nukes, I feel like that's what it's going to be. There are going to be more nukes that we don't know about yet. But I want to know your speculations and what you guys thought about this episode in general. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.